Hello there. Welcome. I'm going to scoot this back a little bit so you can see my face. How's it going, James?
Man, it's a Friday.
It is a Friday. Happy Friday, everybody. Glad everyone is here with us. Welcome to the CFC pregame live show tournament edition presented by Workshop. I'm Charlie Milburn, coming to you live from my bunker 400 feet underground. And we are here as the boys in blue are up in Detroit, Michigan, gearing up to take on a familiar foe, New York Cosmos, tonight in our second match of the 2020 NISA Fall Tournament after defeating LA Force on Tuesday.
That's right. My name's James Dawson, as Charlie said. Make sure to tune in and watch the game. They're playing at 5 p.m. Eastern time. They're playing in Central time, which, 4 o'clock game for them. It's on BN Sports. So check your social listings. We've put out a number of things, I believe, on social media for ways to watch the game with your Roku or your different streaming devices. So check out BN Sports for that, and you don't want to miss it.
There's literally no excuse not to watch the game. Absolutely. Work is over. Start of the weekend. Check out the boys in blue starting here just in a couple minutes, in an hour or less. So as always, thanks so much for joining us, everyone. We have a great show today. We'll be giving you a sneak peek of the starting 11, talking about tonight's match. We're going to talk about the match against the LA Force. And James actually sat down with the man himself, Big Red, Alec Reddington, the goalkeeper, mustache extraordinaire. And he's going to talk with James about the path to pro and what's gotten him here thus far, and a whole lot more. I actually have not heard the interview, so I'm excited to learn something new about our guy in between the sticks.
I'm excited to hear it too. I have no idea what I said or what he said. No, it's fantastic. Maybe one of the better player interviews, simply because you can tell, like Richard Dixon was when we met with him, this tournament, they are so locked in. Mm-hmm. We've done this pregame show before matches at home. And we've had to, we've done it with previous players and players that are injured, but to get players that are starters in tournament mode in interviews, mm-hmm. it's just, you can see the focus. It's pinpoint. So we want to go ahead and thank Chattanooga FC. Would like to go ahead and thank Vibrant Meals and ESPN Radio 105.1 for their continued support. Charlie, I want to talk a little bit before we get into the match tonight versus some folks we don't like too much. I want to talk about this match versus the LA Force, because you and we had dialogued in the pregame, West Coast team, no overlapping games except a preseason game versus the Roots that didn't really count. No idea what to expect. What was your opinion of CFC's overall performance with the 2-0 victory?
So it was a strange performance. I don't think that it's a performance certainly not on the Force side, but even for CFC, that anyone would have gone into that match saying, oh, I really hope that we lose 3 guys in the course of the game and have some guy, get set off for a red card. And I mean, there's so many external factors that the team had to navigate in order to pull out that win. And they did it, which was a huge, I mean, especially one of their co-captains, Rich Dixon, to go down so early and have to be taken off. And then Joanne Laidley to go off almost on the same play. That really set the tone, and that was immediately following the red card where Abraham Torres, I believe is his name, from the LA Force, just dirty pool, dropped an atomic elbow style off the top rope onto Zeka. Straight red card, sent him off. And so that's the question was going to be at that point, how is the team going to respond? What are they going to do? How are they going to pull themselves together? And the answer was off of corner kicks and admirably. The Sean Hofstetter header was off of a spectacular corner kick from, I believe, Kyle Carr, who just dropped that corner kick as perfectly placed as you possibly could have dropped a corner kick, and gave Sean every opportunity to get a good shot on there. And then the second goal as well was just another beautiful example of that. And Darwin, just kind of cleaning up the ball there from a Nick Spielman header that got blocked. And so it was great. And I think a clean sheet is something to be treasured at any stretch of the any way you slice it. It's going to be a big deal. But particularly considering what could have happened with that penalty kick. Give us your thoughts on that, James. What did you think when you saw that penalty kick and everything that transpired with that?
Listen, I played. I'm a soccer player. I played soccer for 25 years through college, and I don't know how Philip D'Amico and then Alec Reddington both got this. Look, there's no VAR, right? And you have. I've also officiated. I've officiated through. I was not an official at this level of soccer. I was an official through high school levels of soccer. But if you're the line judge, and this is just to walk you through it, the center official is going to be the one blowing the whistle, and he's going to be the one with eyes on the player to make sure his run up to the ball is what you'd expect. And he does have an eye on the keeper, but it's the official on the line that is going to be watching the goalie. As difficult as it is to monitor an offsides call on a 40-yard cross-field ball, if you are the line judge and you're watching offsides, you're watching a striker and you're trying to line it up with contact 40 yards away, it's difficult. When you're talking about a PK, his foot, and this is what he says in the interview, his left foot is planted and his right foot is in the air. It is not off the line. It's in the air. A goalie is allowed to bring his foot off the ground. It's about moving forward. And so it's one of those ones. Do I think VAR would have overturned it? That's difficult to say because the call on the field, do you see undisputable evidence there? I don't know. I think in real time, though, I'm never calling that. If you even look where he caught the ball or deflected the ball, rather, he wasn't 3 or 4 yards out like you see some of these other goalies.
Right.
Dove
to his right.
He made a great save. And he got the wrong call. But would you overturn it? I don't think so. So it's just one of those ones where it's 6 one way, half dozen another. You get it, but the ball never lies. The next shot did not go in, and he did not have to save it.
It had to have been karma. The karma gods were watching over us. They remembered what happened with Phil D'Amico and the Atlanta Silverbacks last year. Yeah, they were good to us. But I mean, I agree to make that call at that time of the match and in where the match was. I mean, considering that it's in the middle of this tournament like that, it's a really big call. You've got to be sure that you're making the right call when you're blowing that whistle. But hey, it worked in our favor.
Yeah.
Dust yourself off, move on to the next one. And so that's where we are. That's where we are tonight. So
I would say in a shootout, when an official is getting to watch a keeper rep after rep, you can read and you can notice when they start to move, and it becomes easier to make that call. This being the lone PK for an official that's never seen him, play keep on a PK. It's difficult. So from a CFP standpoint, Charlie, you mentioned the players we lost, which was very difficult, obviously, especially knowing from talking with Richard on our last interview just how locked in he is. Who was your standout player or players? I'll just go ahead and give you mine so I can get it out of the way. It was Sean. He's come on at the right time. It was terrible that he had injury issues earlier during the year, but talk about getting a player you didn't even know you had.
Yeah.
I mean, wow. He is a competitor and a force in that midfield. What do you think?
So I remember at the beginning of the season, before the season started, I remember hearing a lot of buzz about him specifically when we signed him. All indications were going to be that he is going to be the player that he was on Tuesday, that he was
Yeah.
going to be this boss of the midfield. He had a head for goal. He was going to be able to put some points away and really, really make a statement with who he was and how he played his game. And he's definitely showed that. To me, it's extremely impressive to be able to do that when you've played or haven't played more appropriately
Wow.
for
Yeah.
months. I mean, when you consider coronavirus and then you consider that he was injured after that and sat out most of our regular season, to just come in, just dust yourself off and just pull a rabbit out of your hat and just play lights out.
Wow.
It's really been a revelation. So certainly would not argue with that. I would throw, and of course the purpose of this is, of course, Darwin Lom is always going to have an outstanding performance. Juanito with some of his amazing passes and just the way that he's dictating that midfield, he's always going to be there. But, I would also say, Kyle Carr did an excellent job. I mean, I mentioned it with those corner kicks. If you could sit there and you could place those corner kicks on a stamp right like he does every single time, I mean, you are going to play soccer for a living for quite some time, and you're not going to be out of a job. And the way that he was able to come in for Rich Dixon, so playing a little bit farther back in the midfield, defensive midfield, that he's not particularly used to. He's been playing a little farther up on the pitch during the season. I thought he jumped in and did a spectacular job.
You make such a good point with Sean. To come in when players have had their preseason tournament, their season, and to be able to play at this rate going into tournament mode, I mean, that is not an easy feat. It really makes you wonder what would it have looked like, to have him at 100 all season.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we'll have to wait till next season to see. Maybe we'll just win this tournament, right?
Let's hope so, right?
So I was thrilled with the overall performance. You mentioned Darwin Lom in there. There's one term that we use for a player like him. He is a dog. I mean, he gets on a defense.
Mm-hmm.
I have not seen a striker take the ball off defenders like him. He is an antagonizer, and he's hungry for it. You can just tell. And when he gets it, he only needs one glimpse of goal.
Yeah.
So I'm incredibly excited to see him in the lineup, and just his engine just does not stop. It's incredible.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about the game tonight. So we're going to be playing again New York Cosmos. Anyone who's been around Chattanooga FC for the past 5 years know exactly who New York Cosmos is. We know their history. We know their history versus CFC. And for the first time in our history against New York Cosmos, just 2 weeks ago, we managed to beat them at home with goals by Clayton Adams and Darwin Lom. So it was a spectacular performance by the boys in blue. Massive monkey that we got off of our back.
Oh, yeah.
But at the same time, and James and I, we were texting about this a couple days ago, it's really, really difficult to get 2 wins in a row against the same team. So,
yeah, it is.
James, what are you thinking about tonight's match as the clock is ticking down?
Listen, it's so difficult. A tournament's a different place. One of the things that I've heard from our team, all organizations are different, but when you go into a bubble like this, it's about your leaders. It's about your veterans, and it's about the tone that they set. I think the difference between teams that win tournaments like this and teams that lose has to do with their focus throughout. When you have a team that has veteran leaders like a Zeka, like a Richard Dixon, like a Juan, you're going to have a squad that is well anchored. I can't really put anything on it other than the Chattanooga spirit, but there is a cohesion in this group that you do not always see with players. You're talking about players from around the country and around the world that have played a COVID impacted season. They seem to be enmeshed. I think that is a really, really good sign. Now that's not to say anything against our competitor because I don't know. All that is to say I'm confident that our boys will put the best team and best foot forward tonight. However, beating a team twice, especially with the injuries we've suffered in this tournament, it's going to be difficult. The game we beat them at home, we won off a worldie in the 86th minute from Clayton Adams as a super
Yes,
sub.
absolutely.
That's not a game plan, right? Like your game plan is not super sub wins it with a goal that would, be shown around the world in the World Cup. I mean, you need the fundamentals to execute for you tonight. And I think one of the things that I'm concerned with the Cosmos is they possessed so well out of the backfield versus us. I think starting someone like a Darwin tonight to antagonize them will be a good thing to try and break up plays. But they're an experienced side, and in tournament mode, they could be that hyper-focused as well. What's your expectation for tonight as far as the level we bring out?
I think honestly, I think it's going to be a dogfight. I think that we're going to we have a target on our back. We're number 1 seed coming in. We have the win against the Cosmos, and then on top of that, we have a win in the tournament. Cosmos got beat 2-0 by Cal United in their first match. So basically, their tournament depends on this game. So everything that they have, they're going to be throwing at us, both positively and negatively. They're going to give us their best performance. They also have a tendency, in my opinion, to play a little more physical than we do, and tend to kind of try to push the guys around a little bit. So I expect more of that. I expect it to be a down and dirty fight, to be honest with you. I think we're going to see, hopefully we're going to see some really good, skillful soccer being played, because that's the way that we play, and that's the way that we like to play. And I know that they have the roster to do that. So I hope that it doesn't just get drug into some sort of boxing match, but I have a feeling that that's what we're going to be looking at tonight. So we'll see, though. We'll see. And as we saw with LA Force, anything can happen. So the team that you think is not going to be great is going to come up and they're going to give you all they've got. So we'll see. I'm optimistic by nature, so I do believe we're going to pull some result out of this, for sure. I do think that on paper we're a better team. And to your point, with regards to what how Fuller's been coaching the team and what we heard from Rich Dixon in one of our earlier interviews, he said Fuller was telling him he's not looking for anyone on the team to be the man. He's looking for 11 guys to be the men. And so when you drill that mentality into your players, and you see Rich believe that, you see that him pass that on to the younger guys, I think that that's just going to help inspire the team. So you're not going up against Rich Dixon, you're going up against Chattanooga FC. And if Rich Dixon's not in the starting lineup, another guy with the blue on is gonna do the same thing. So I definitely like our chances tonight and think it's going to be a really tough match. So speaking of tonight, let's go ahead and let's talk about our starting lineup. Why don't you give us the rundown here, James?
Yeah, I think if we're going to talk about how we're going to look tonight versus these guys, we should talk about who's on the field with the next man up mentality. So in goal, we're going to have Alec Reddington. We're going to have a back three that's going to be anchored by Spielman. We're going to have Russell. And interestingly enough, we've seen this before. Coloco is going to also be playing on the defensive side there. Williams, Woodfin, Carr, and Hernandez with McGrath. So that is a 5. So we're running a 3-5-2 with Bement and Zeka. Let me tell you right now, Charlie, the McGrath, Bement, Zeka connection. Oh, throw Hernandez in there, of course.
Of course.
They put together some of the best goals we've seen all season. Their ability for one-touch and two-touch play through the midfield to chop a team straight down the center is absolutely incredible. But what do you think about the adjustments in the backfield and changing our formation going into this game?
Well, I think that the backfield, of course, is where the biggest changes are made. I love having this. This feels to me like with the exception of Rich Dixon not being there tonight. I don't believe he's dressing tonight. I think they're going to give him a little more rest on that knee. Hopefully, he can come back for the next match against Cal United. But with the exception of him, this feels a lot like how our team lined up at the beginning of the season. When we were in the Independent Cup, when we were just dominating guys. Now, granted, of course, the competition is way different, way better this time. But the way that Bement and McGrath with Zeka kind of pulling the strings in there, it was really, really exciting to see. And I think that we're going to see on that front line, we're going to see some really clinical pinpoint movements back and forth. I love having the Flying Scotsman in there for our set pieces, being able to throw that big noggin of his around, hopefully getting us a couple of goals. And, we didn't mention Nick Spielman before, but he is great in those set pieces as well. He's able to get up in the air. He's able to make some things happen. Yeah. And he has proven to be, as you said, an anchor of that back line. So we've got Cam Woodfin back also. He was out with an injury, and now he's worked his way back into the starting lineup. He's going to be one of those wing backs along with Wilfred Williams. So I expect to see, just as always, anytime, when Cam had the ball earlier before he went out with injury, it seemed like the offense at times would flow through him. Yeah. He would kind of streak up that side, and he would send those crosses in that would kind of be the catalyst for those offensive plays that we saw and we talked about. So I'm excited. There's a lot of skill here. There's a lot of speed here. The question for me is going to be this, the Russell, Spielman, Koloko backfield, solely not because of their skill level, not because of anything like that, just solely because we haven't seen that lineup in some time. I think maybe in substitutional roles we might have seen that before. So it'll be interesting to me to see how that plays out. What do you think?
Well, jumping from a back four to a back three, your center backs. So no good center back is ever going to put their head down and not pay attention to their offside line. But when you have a partner in crime, when they step, you're the one looking. So if you're playing a back four, for instance, if you're one of the center backs and your other center back has stepped forward, you're anchoring the line and you're watching for the offside. If you're playing a back three, it's different. You need to rely on your outside wing backs to track back. I think that with a team like the New York Cosmos, who've shown their ability to counterattack well and possess out of the backfield, if they're able to switch field well and go from left to right or right to left on the attack, that will leave us exposed. So the back three has to communicate a lot better. So it's not just the formation change, but you're right, it's the personnel change as well. With someone like Richard Dixon, who is a vocal leader, when you take that ingredient out, next man up, I get that, but not all players are vocal players. Right. Some players, they're ready to go in there and hit somebody, but they're not going to yell about it. So you're going to have to look for Spielman to really command that back line and make sure that Woodfin and Williams are tracking back because that's an area where we could easily get exposed on an attack down the wings. But all in all, as I'm looking at this lineup, Koloko is an incredible defender, and he also looks for that outlet. So does Russell. Russell's ready to make runs. Mm-hmm. The fact that we're playing a back three and two of those players can take the ball forward, we're going to attack. And you're absolutely right that Woodfin is going to channel some of that. And to think that if Williams or Woodfin need to come out, we've got someone like a Ryan Marcano who can come in and is equally as fast, if not even faster. So I think it'll be something where our outside wing backs or excuse me, outside midfielders, they're going to be asked to run 18 to 18 until they can't. And then when they need to come off, we'll have subs.
Yeah, I
So
think you're right. I think we can look to see Marcano, Clayton Adams again come on, give us some speed there towards the end of the match, and also Darwin Lom. I mean, can you imagine? Can you imagine the 70th minute when you're just battered and exhausted if you're the Cosmos defense and you see those three coming on?
you,
I mean, it's over. You're gonna get circles run around you.
you've been
So,
dealing with Zeka for 70 minutes, and
right,
in comes Darwin Lom.
right. Congratulations. Yeah. Well, makes you rethink your career. So, well, we'll see what happens, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see it. So,
Can't
but
wait.
just a reminder, Bantam and Biddy is going to be offering 15% off of food and non-alcoholic beverages today if you're wearing your CFC gear. So make sure that when you're picking up dinner tonight, make sure that you're heading over there. You're wearing your jersey. You've got your scarf, and there it is. Right is left, left is right. Make sure that you've got that. Make sure you pay them a visit right after the game.
All right. So, in case you missed it, the club announced 2 additional matches at home coming up in October. So, CFC fans, this is your chance to get out and see your boys in blue in Findlay. I know for a lot of us, it felt like we wanted to be at games and we weren't allowed at the time. And then the games we got, we were like, is this it? Well, it's not. We got 2 more, and they're coming. We're going to take on the Metro Louisville FC on the 17th. And on the 24th, we're going to take on the Maryland Bobcats FC. So the Chattanooga FC schedule, it's powered by our friends over at EPB, my friends, your friends, the internet friends for this show. Tickets for both matches, that's CFCTIX, Tix.com. We've got limited seating available, and it will sell out, so make sure to get your tickets early. Again, we are doing COVID precautions. We're going to have seating spaced out so that everyone can feel safe while rooting on their team. So go to cfctix.com to get those seats for October. The weather is cooling down. You are not going to want to miss some fall soccer.
That sounds good. I cannot wait for that. That's going to be amazing. First time we've had soccer that late. It's going to be beautiful. So, so James, are we wrapping up? I know we're close to time. Are we wrapping up to get to the game? Or are we going to chat with Alec?
So I think what we're going to do is we're going to wrap on our side for the live portion, and then we're going to play into the interview to close out this session.
Excellent. Well, all right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. Don't forget, you can watch CFC tonight, 5:00, right here. BN Sports is where you can watch that. So check our Twitter feed, check Facebook, and find out all the different ways that you can watch. And thanks so much for tuning in. I can't wait to hear Alec Reddington. And this is Charlie Milburn signing off.
And I'm James Dawson. We're going to turn this over to the interview I got to have with Alec. Let's go CFC. Game coming up. Let's go ahead and turn it over to the interview with Alec. So tonight we're going to be joined by CFC goalkeeper and mustache aficionado Alec Reddington. We're going to talk about the tournament so far. We're going to talk about Tuesday's win over the LA Force and the upcoming match, the rematch against the New York Cosmos. So without further ado, let's welcome Alec Reddington.
What's up, guys?
Hey, man. Glad to have you with us all the way up there from Michigan.
Yeah.
So, Alec, we've seen a lot of sports taking place in a bubble recently. You don't have the fans we're used to, but what's it like up there in the Michigan bubble?
It's not bad. The league's treating us really good up here. It reminds me of like the old club tournaments where you're going for a weekend and with your team on the same floor messing around. So it kind of brings back the old days, but I'm loving it.
I remember sprinting down the carpet hallways in our socks like yesterday.
Yeah.
So what are you guys doing to stay sane during the downtime without the ability to go places?
Some of us have they brought like some guys brought their Xboxes, some brought their PlayStations, some guys read, but most of us we just hang around. Some of us play cards. We do pretty much everything, but we kind of just like hang out like during certain like times of the day where we'll have like lunch or dinner. We'll watch like the other games going around in the tournament, and then besides that, like we'll sometimes here and there hang out with each other to play cards. But pretty much that everyone's pretty much sticking to themselves. But it's all really good. This is a great bonding time for us, really as well. So we're literally if we want to talk to somebody, get out of your room, knock on the door. It's like, hey, what are you doing? Let's do something. So it's kind of fun.
Right. You're not gonna miss anybody because they're not gonna be out and about. What is your daily schedule like as far as training and team focused activities?
So on our off days, mainly we'll have breakfast in the morning. After breakfast, we'll go back upstairs, change if need be, come back down, get on the bus, head to Keyworth to train for hour and a half, 2 hours, then come back, eat lunch, and then we're pretty much free until dinner. And then we'll have a workout session in between there for an hour or so to go down to the hot tub, the pool, the gym to get a little pump in or get a stretch in. Those are optional, but most of the guys usually go just because we want to improve and everything. But outside that, that's pretty much our off day. But for game days, we'll wake up, have breakfast together, relax mainly for up till lunch, and then during lunch, after lunch, go upstairs for maybe hour or so, come back down, have our team talk, chalk talk pretty much about the game, get our stuff ready, and then prepare, and then we head out to the game.
Excellent. In a moment, I want to ask you some questions about the tournament. But since you haven't been on the show before, even though this is a special tournament show, I've had other teammates on the show. I want to learn a little bit about you and just your soccer journey to get you where you are today. As a player growing up, when did you think, hey, maybe I have a shot at going pro? And how did you end up playing at CFC?
So my soccer career when I was a kid, I played pretty much every sport when I was a kid. Played flag football, baseball, volleyball, pretty much whatever you could think of. My parents threw me into. But as soon as I turned around when I was probably in fourth grade, I decided like, hey, soccer's my thing. I'm gonna keep doing this, and that was when I became a goalkeeper as well. I remember saying earlier where I was saved a PK in the third grade, and that was like when I decided to be a goalie. But when I was in fourth grade, I was like, "Hey, I want to do this for my sport." Um, when I decided that I wanted to go play collegiately, probably freshman year of high school, and then I was like, "Hey, I want to improve. I want to get better. I want to move on." So I was playing high school soccer, just trying to go. I was like, "All right, I'm gonna try to go D1. I'm gonna try to play for the best school I can." Um, And then during that time, I was training at home with my goalkeeper coach, and he's probably the main guy who's told me pretty much like, "Hey, there's a chance you can play professionally." He saw it when I was a very young. There was one moment in one training session. He's like, that could be something one day. So I've always held that on me. And then things didn't work out at my college. Decided to transfer to a JUCO. Wasn't getting playing time there, and I was like, all right, I'm kind of done with school. I want to see if I can make it in the big leagues. So I talked to my goalkeeper coach, like, hey, what can I do? I'm not getting time at my JUCO, so I don't know if I'll be able to transfer to another Division I, Division II school. So like, what can I do? He knew some people. Thankfully, one of those people was Jeremy Allenbaugh, and next thing you know, I came here on the tryout, and I guess things worked out. But yeah, now I'm here.
That's an incredible
Yeah.
story. That reminds me a little bit in talking with the other Alec on the team about his journey and realizing, I wasn't really feeling it with school, really wanted to get after it. And here you are with this opportunity. What experience with CFC so far, maybe highs and lows? Do you have a favorite moment from this year?
Oh, I absolutely love it. There's been pretty much like no down parts of it. Every single thing has been positive. My favorite thing right now, like in moments for me, was probably the penalty kick save. Even though it got called back, I'd still saved my first professional penalty kick. I was on cloud 9 for 10 seconds. So, but then after it hit the crossbar, I was like, all right, now I can celebrate with the boys. So I was really
Yes.
good. But that's by far my favorite thing.
So did your feet come off the line?
So I've been doing PKs for a while now, and I've pretty much got it down to a science. I've looked at the replay, and so it looks like my left foot on the line, and as he's kicking it, my right foot is in the air.
Yep.
Technically, my foot isn't off the line; it's just in the air. So I think I'm safe, but I'm not the one to make the call.
The VAR, wasn't available for that game. I tweeted the ball never lies.
Exactly.
That's as a soccer player, that's how you got to see it. So, did your feet come off? Well, did he make the next shot? There you go.
Exactly. There's no goal. I shaved it.
So, talk us through that moment. Slow it down. First professional save. When you made the save, before there was a whistle. I mean, what's going through your head right then?
For me, I just keep in my own heads like I have an idea where he's going. Stay true to that. Don't change it. Stay with that and stretch as long as you can.
Did he give you a tell? Were you watching his hip at all, or had you just picked?
I have a few things that I have to make sure I'm pretty good at PKs. I've been working on that. Like those are my favorite saves. Penalty kicks are what I live for. Like I'd rather go to a PK shootout than a tie. Like I'm just all for penalty kicks. So I have certain things that I do to like give me hints and things like that. But I got the read really, really early in his set. So that's all I'm saying. All I'm allowing. But
Yeah. No, keep it close.
Keep it secret.
We won't have any more PKs, of course, not against us. But if we do, we want to hold that close to the chest. There was no Jorginho or Fernandez hop to try and throw you off. No, he just put it right where he was going to put it, and you already knew. So when he missed the retake, was that just the exhale? I'm just imagining you in that moment, the whistle, and you're back on. You got to think: is he going to go right? Is he going to go left? Is he going to try and switch it up?
For me, by that point, it was a mind game. I heard one of his teammates give him the ball, and Darwin actually came over and was like, hey, he's going to switch it up. He said in Spanish, he's going to switch it up. So I heard that, and that was in the back of my head. I was like, oh, he's going to switch it. Oh, he's going to switch it. But so I had that thought in my back of my head. I was like, all right, I don't know what to do now since I heard that. But his run-up was completely the same. So I was kind of hesitant on going to my left side, but luckily hit the crossbar, and I got to exhale. So
yes. So I always think of a goalkeeper as the quarterback of the defense. You've got the best vantage on the entire field. from that game, I mean, a strong win for us, a clean sheet thanks to you. I believe you had 6 saves, 7 if we count the PK, and we will.
Oh, we count it.
So what are some things that we did well as a team in that match from your perspective?
From my point of view, communication was good. We talked all game. That was one big thing that we did really well at. And then also just our positioning. That's one thing we hold strong to ourselves, like a good team defensive shape and just a defensive line. And that's just all the way from our voices to our positioning, just making sure everyone's switched on and checking our shoulders and everything. So I think personally it's just communication and our body positioning, which is one big thing for us.
And moving into this next match versus an opponent we've already played, I said this in a pregame show when we were talking about having to play the Cosmos again. Beating a team once is one thing, beating the same team twice. So from last game, what are some areas that the team is trying to improve on going into this match versus the Cosmos?
For me, it's just formation. We just got to lock down on formation, and we'll be very confident with that. I can't give too much away. I don't want to give that up, but we just have been focusing a lot on positioning with all of our players from our strikers to our backs.
Excellent. Well, I'm really looking forward to the early game tomorrow.
Yeah.
With playing these games so close together, and it might be different for a box-to-box midfielder as far as recovery goes. But what does recovery and preparation look like when you're 2 days apart?
It's very, very focused on like, all right, I need to get my ice bath. When can I get my next ice bath? When can I roll out? So there's always free time in the day. And like for us, we're just thinking, what do I have to do to get ready for that game? And usually we'll have like a week to get ready. Instead, we just like have to shorten that week up into 2 days.
So I'd imagine, playing through the summer with CFC, you get downtime, you get some time to see the sights, to get out there. You guys, that's all cut out with a tournament like this. With the back-to-back close games, you said you've been watching the other teams play. What do you think of the competition level overall from what you've seen, having played some of the teams that have played other teams maybe you haven't played?
We all think all the teams here are good. They can all punish us if we switch off. But I think that we as a team in general, we can compete with every team here. So for us, we think we can bring back a championship. We can win every game if we can, but we have to stay switched on all the way. No game's going to be easy. No game's going to be a cakewalk, pretty much. So that's one thing
Right.
we hold to ourselves.
And with the East Coast and the West Coast having not played each other at all, one of the things we were commenting on is just how difficult it is to prepare or have an idea for the level of play when there's no crossover during the season. That being said, is there a team specifically that you guys are looking out for or would see as someone who, if you find them in the finals, it's not the team you want to play in the finals?
For us, we take every game by game. We don't look at teams in the other pool yet. Yeah, we'll watch the games like just to watch, but we're not really focused on that game until we finish our next opponent. So we just think of it game by game, looking to win.
I love that. We talked with Richard Dixon before the last game, and you guys were line for line on that answer. So somebody's coaching you guys. That's exactly correct. It's next one up. Take them out. So what are your thoughts on the next match? This is the last question here. You're going to play the Cosmos tomorrow. With taking it game at a time, are you guys thinking about the Cal United Strikers yet?
No, not at all. Our first focus is Cosmos, and we won't be thinking about Cal until that last whistle blows.
I love that. Till we get that W. Well, that's all the time we've got. Thank you so much, Alec,
Thank you
for joining us. Keep the stash, keep up the saves, and get that W tomorrow.
Will do.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much.